Hello, welcome to Craig Loves to Crochet. My name is Tonya and today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this lovely little breast cancer awareness pink crocheted ribbon. It's a really lovely little project, very easy and very quick to make. It's incredibly versatile, so you can make it as large or as small as you want to. The size that I've made it is ideal for what I want it for, which is a little pin to pin onto my lapel of my cardigan. But I've designed it so that basically you can attach either a little hair clip or a hair grip on the back here, or a safety pin, or any kind of pin that you want to. And you can sew that on, or you could even glue it on, I expect, but I like to sew things on. And then you can attach it to whatever you want to. You can make it as long or as short as you want to. You can make it as wide as you want to, and I will show you how to do that. The corners here that I've made are square, but again you can make them round if you want to as well, just by putting extra stitches in the bottom, and I'll show you how to do that too. Right. I've also made a really cute little phone charm as well. So this one's ideal for putting onto your mobile phone, or you can maybe use it as a pen topper or a pencil topper, or maybe attached to a pencil case, or maybe even your bag or something. But it's a really cute little addition to show support for breast cancer awareness. Okay then, so let's get started and find out what we need to use to make this project. Right, so the yarn that I've chosen to use is 100% cotton. This one's by Patterns, but there's lots of various cottons out there for you to choose from. I've chosen cotton because cotton is the best yarn to use if you're wanting a project to keep its shape. So a project like this, some kind of motif, or like my breast cancer awareness pin, this is perfect for that. So I'm using two types of cotton. For the main part of the ribbon, I'm going to use a 4-ply, which is a fine weight cotton here, and I'm going to use pink for that one. And for the outside of the ribbon, to give it that definition, I'm going to use a double knit white cotton. Now you can use any colour you want, but I would give a bit of thought to using the 100% cotton, because like I said, it does give it good definition and good shape. It keeps a nice shape. Okay, so the crochet hook that I'm using is a 3mm hook, quite a small hook for this, but it needs that for it's quite a small and dainty little project. As always, a pair of scissors, and anybody who knows my tutorials knows that I always use a thimble because I have really sensitive fingertips, and a yarn needle just for tying in our ends. So let's get started on this project. Okay, so we're going to chain 33 chains. Now I have made a really tiny little mini tutorial for anybody who's not quite sure how to start a chain or how to chain stitch, so it's a really small tutorial, and the link is down the bottom there if you're wanting to watch. But for those people who already know how to, let's get on and chain our 33. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'll see you at the end. Right, so I have my 33 chains, and now I'm going to single crochet into the second chain. So if we just zoom in a wee bit, take hold of our yarn. So if we take a look here, I'll just take my hook out a minute. This stitch here, oops, this stitch here is our first chain here, and this stitch here is our second chain, so it's in here that we're going to be going. Now as a rule of thumb, I always say pick up the two loops, but for this project we're going to pick up the one loop, and the reason for that is because when we come to do our edging, we're going to be using those two loops to give it a really lovely edge and a nice a nice kind of sturdy base for our edging. So we're going to single crochet. For UK people, that will be, for our UK watchers, that will be a double crochet. So we're going to pick up our yarn and pull it through our second chain. Then we're going to pick up our yarn again and pull it through both loops, and that's your first single crochet completed. So we'll go into our next chain, so into this loop here, just the one loop. Not very common to do that, I have to say, in most of my practice, but for this design only it works better. Into the next chain, picking up our yarn, pulling it through that chain loop, got your 2 stitches on, picking up our yarn and pulling through again. We're going to go into the next loop, chain loop, picking up our yarn, pulling through, and so on, and we're going to do it right to the end. So I'll see you at the end when we've finished our first foundation row. Okay, so we've made our foundation row here of our single crochets. This is our last stitch here. Now we're going to turn our work around, and we're going to be working along this edge here now. So we're going to go back down again, and we're going to do that with our single crochet. So normally you wouldn't take your hook off, but I have just to show you. So whenever we're doing generally rows, we need to start off with a chain. Now because we're doing single crochets, or in UK a double crochet, we need to chain 1. If it was a half double crochet, we'd do 2, and if it was a double crochet, then we would do 3. So we've chained 1, that's our first stitch, and then we're going to be going into this stitch here. Take my hook off here, this one, let me just, and this time we're going to be going through both of the loops. Let me just zoom in so you can see what I'm doing, because I don't want you to, it's not always as clear as it could be. So we're going to go through these 2 loops here in each one of these single crochets. So we've chained our 1, now we're going to single crochet all the way back down again, the same as we did before, to the end. Okay, so we're almost at the end of our second row. So we have done our foundation row, and this is our second row of single crochet, and I just wanted to show you at the end, because sometimes we can get a little bit stuck on that very last stitch. So if we have a look here, it's because we've done like our little chain. So basically for this stitch here, this is the last stitch, so we pop it into here and we pull our yarn through, just a single crochet, and that's the end of our row there. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to fasten off. So I'll just pull my loop up for a moment and take my scissors. I'm going to leave a fairly long end just because I'm wanting to sew it in, and it's easier sometimes to have a longer end if you're sewing in. So the way we fasten off is we just take our little end, we pull it through our loop, and basically that's the middle part of our ribbon completed. So now we have the middle part of our ribbon completed, and what we'll do now is we'll attach our white or whatever colour you're wanting. So if you're wanting a thicker ribbon, then basically you just need to continue with as many single crochet rows as you would like. If you're wanting it longer, obviously you need to increase the amount of chains that you do. So it's really sort of up to you how you would like your ribbon to be. The same as the colour really. If you're wanting a different colour, then just go ahead and use a different colour. I'm really looking forward to seeing all your variations of ribbons, and hopefully you'll post them on my Facebook page. and I'll put the link down below as well for you, and that would be fantastic to share with our Facebook community. Okay, so we need to now attach our white cotton. Right, so with the right side facing you, the way that I've learnt how to do this. Right, so when we're attaching our next colour, I've tried lots of different ways, and I've found that the best way to attach the yarn, or the best place to attach it, is somewhere in the middle of your ribbon. So what I'm going to be doing is attaching it sort of somewhere in the middle. So I'll just pop it in this stitch here, because basically you're going to ending up on this stitch. So we're going to go all the way around our ribbon now. So we take our yarn, make a little loop and pop it over our hook like so. Just keep hold of that with our two little fingers, and we'll pull that loop through. So we've got the loop through here. Now we need to, there should be a little wee piece of yarn here, the little tail end, so we're going to keep hold of that little fella down here, and we're just going to work with the main piece of yarn. This yarn at the back here will secure itself eventually. So we've got our loop here. Now what we're going to do now is something a little different. We're going to be slip stitching all the way along our work. So let me just take that up. Let me just turn that around so you can see. So we're going to slip stitch all the way along in these stitches here, and I'm going to show you, and then we're going to turn the corner here, and then we're going to go all the way back down here, turn the corner at this end, all the way back down again till we get to here again. So this is how we do it. So we take our loop, we're going to put our crochet hook into the next two loops of the single crochet. We're going to pick up our double knit yarn, we're going to pull it through that loop. We've got two loops on. Now instead of picking up the yarn as we would do like this and making a single crochet, we're just going to slip that loop all the way through the second loop, and that's called a slip stitch. So we're going to do that all the way along, so put it into our next two loops, pulling our yarn through and then slipping it into the second loop. So we'll go along here, put our yarn hook through, picking up our yarn, pulling it through the two loops of the single crochet, and then pulling it through, slip stitching it through the second loop. So in, whoop, so daisy, in the two loops, single crochet, picking up our yarn, pulling through, and you will get a little flow going. So we're going to do this all the way to the end here, and I'm going to pick up with you when I've done that, and I'm going to show you how to turn the corner to make our little corner of our ribbon. Right, now I'm at the end of the line here with my ribbon, and I'm at the end of the ribbon here, and now what I want to do is I want to make a nice square edge going across here. Now this is the end of our two rows here, and you'll find that that'll be the same at the other end here. So there isn't actually particularly a stitch as such, but we will find some loops. So if I zoom in a wee bit so you can see, I think what we'll do is we're going to crochet over our tail end here and get that out of the way. But what I'm going to do is, I'll just move the tail out of the way for a moment so you can see, and I'll move this loop out of the way too. So if you have a look at the top end of this bow here, there's two loops here. We're going to single crochet into, no we're not, we're going to slip stitch into here, and then we're going to single crochet into this loop here, and that creates a little corner. Then we're going to just single crochet into these two loops here, and then on the other corner here we're going to slip stitch, single crochet, and then slip stitch into this corner here, and then we'll carry on all the way down. So let me just zoom back out again so we can got a little bit more room to work in. Now, as I said, I'm going to crochet over this cheeky little tail end here that's getting in the way. So it's a little tip, I think, for crocheters to do that. So as I said, we're going to slip stitch into that stitch that I've just shown you. So the same as we've just done. So pulling our yarn through and then straight through the loop. Now then, into the same stitch we're going to do a single crochet, and that's going to create our corner. So pulling our yarn through, slightly stiff, and then picking up our yarn and then pulling through the 2 loops, and that makes a nice corner. Then we're going to do a single crochet into the middle here, just a 1 single crochet there, and then we're going to single crochet into the little corner stitch here. So a single crochet there, and then we're going to slip stitch into the same stitch. I'll slip stitch there. And that makes our lovely nice square corner. Now I'm going to snip off this end because it's getting in my way. So I'll snip this end off just like that because it's nice and secure now anyway. And what we're going to do now, just untangle myself, is we're going to work along this edge now, so the opposite side of where we've been working, all the way down until we get to this end here. Now then, if you wanted to do a round edge, what we would do is we would just rather than slip stitching and single crocheting into the same stitch, we would just single crochet. So we'd single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet into the second stitch, and then a single crochet into the third stitch, and then carry along doing our slip stitches down, and basically that will give you the nice round edge. So I'll just quickly give you an idea of what that would look like. So we've got the round edge here. It just seems to taper the edge a little bit, but we've boxed ours off. So I'm going to go all the way along here, so into our 2 loops again, picking up our yarn, just a refresher, and pulling through the loop, into the 2 loops, picking up our yarn, pulling through the loop, and we're going to go all the way along the row, back down to the end of the ribbon, and then I'll catch you there and we'll do our square edge again to finish off our last square edge for our ribbon. So I'll see you at the end. Okay, so I've come to the end again here, so we're going to do exactly the same on this side. So we're going to slip stitch into the 2 stitches at the top here, and then we're going to single crochet into the same stitch. We're going to single crochet into, or pick up another 2 loops like so, and single crochet into those. And then we're going to, in the corner space here, we're going to single crochet into this corner, and we're going to slip stitch into the exact same place. And again, that's made our lovely square corner here. And now all we need to do is we need to just move my tail out of the way. We need to slip stitch all the way along to meet the beginning of our slip stitch here, and I'll show you what we do just there when we get to there. Okay, so we're right at the end here, so this is where we meet here. Now the way I've worked out to do this, which seems to be the easiest way to do to show the least join, is to basically go through this little stitch here. I'm just going to zoom in a wee bit so you can see again. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into here, so take our loop, we're going to put our crochet hook into this loop here, like so. Then we're going to pull the yarn through, and then we're going to slip stitch like so. Then I'm just going to fasten off. So we'll cut our yarn, pull that through and fasten off, and basically it's about the easiest way that I've found to do this. We're going to sew this going to sew this into the back here. So you've got a very slight, you can slightly see that there's a join, but we will sew that in. Let me just zoom out a wee bit now because we haven't got enough room to work in. So basically you can just about see that join here, but then obviously when we come to do to put together our bow, you won't see it. Okay, so let's do our sewing in the ends first of all. So clearly we need to sew this end in here, this end here, and we've got an end here. So I'm just going to sew my ends in. So I'll get my needle, and with this end here, I really do not want you to see this because I'm just going to sew it into the white line. Don't need to be dreadfully careful here. So I'll just thread this in here. Eyesight's terrible now. It's quite a large needle, but there. So I'm going to tug that through there. Oh, I usually use my thimble. I'm going to snip that off. Take that out of the way. We need to sew this one in here, just going along here. So I'll just thread my needle and do that. If I can thread my needle. There we are. So basically I'm going to, actually I think I'm going to sew that along here. So I'll take that along, just hidden under here. Don't need to go the full length, just to hide it, because we don't really want to be able to see that there. We want to give it a good, to hide it. So I'll snip that off, and you can't see that there. Move that out of the way. And finally I have a little end here that I'm going to sew in. So I'll sew this one in, a little 4-ply end, and just tuck him under there, I think. That's it. Pull that through. Okay, and we'll snip off that, and there we have it. So we have our ribbon. So basically now we need to assemble it. So the way we do that is we just try and move some of my stuff out of the way. I'll just come in so you can see. So the way we do that is like this. So you take your ribbon and you crisscross it over like so. And you can see why it's really important for us to keep these ends sort of looped in. To be honest, I think the next time I do it, I think what I'll do is I'll start probably not so much in the middle, but when we're doing our white, putting our white edging on, I think I might actually start it even round here, and it'll be even more invisible rather than right at the top here. So that might be a good tip for you guys when you're doing yours. And I've done it over and over again, and I'm still sort of amending it really. Okay, so I think that's about right. The two edges here, the two ends of the ribbon are kind of equilateral to each other. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew it in the middle here. So I need to take a little bit of my pink yarn, my 4-ply yarn, and we'll just sew that together And then that will be the end of our tutorial. Now for the little charm, the phone charm that we did, that I did and I showed you at the very beginning of the tutorial, I worked out that I only did the 20 chain for that one, and I've done it exactly the same way but just with 20 chain rather than the 30 that I've done for this one here. So if you're happy with where you've crossed over your ribbon, what you need to do is just to really secure it in place, and we do that just by doing little tiny stitches. We don't want gaping huge stitches because that would spoil the look of our little ribbon. And I'm sure that you guys will have some great ideas, and I'm looking forward to seeing them as well. So I'm just going to sew in basically in the four corners really, just to secure it so it's nice and it's not going to fall apart on you. And then it's ready to attach your safety pin or your hair clip or your Velcro or whatever you want to do with it. Okay, let's turn it over. So nice and neat. I'll just sew in my ends. You might want to save this yarn if you're going to attach a safety pin or a hair grip. I lost my thread, the thread of thought there. So I'll pull that down. I'm just going to snip that bit off. And then just need to sew this end in. And I can wear this in memory of all the people that I've lost who are very dear to me. A few people that are still fighting a good fight. Very special people. Okay, so here is my breast cancer awareness pin ribbon. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. It's really not very hard at all, is it? It's quite an easy tutorial to follow and do, and it hasn't really taken us that long at all, has it? And you can do yours any way you want, and I really hope you share it, and I'm sure it'd look lovely in all pink as well. I have actually got an all pink one here, but I did it in wool rather than cotton, and I felt that it didn't hold its shape very well, but I quite like the all pink as well. So I look forward to seeing the end result of your pins and who they're going to and why you're making them. This one's for my mother-in-law, who was my best friend, so I'm going to wear that for her, my children's grandma. Thank you very much for watching Craig Loves to Crochet. I hope you can follow me on my Facebook page, www.facebook.com Craig Loves to Crochet. If you like this tutorial, please click the like button. It really helps me to kind of assess and analyse some feedback to see whether I'm doing a good job or not. And any constructive criticism is always welcome. Thank you very much. Until the next time, bye.